Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube. Myself, Mark Carlaw, Riley Finch. He's back. Finchy, as he likes to be known. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm doing good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Not bad. Still, not too bad. I'm busy, but yeah, all good. Excited about this weekend and football. And it's really weird, isn't it? Because we've just had a good result away in Europe, and it's so strange how the mood can shift. Just a result, anything, even though it was a futile game in a sense because we'd
Mm.
already qualified and topped the group. But the manner in which we won, and seeing our academy players doing so well, it's just like it just really lifts the mood, and all of a sudden you just feel like, yeah, I'm liking football again. So yeah, it's good.
Well, we've always said
How
it's a
about you? Did you
platform,
watch the
really,
game?
haven't we?
Say again, sorry?
We've always said it's a platform, really, isn't it? Just to, maybe if the luck's not going so well in the Premier League, to kind of fall back on it and get a couple of
Mm,
positives, get some young players playing, get some, new players through the door as well. Like Aged, he's starting to play
yeah.
in Europe and he looks absolutely top quality. Seeing players like
Oh.
Downs come through and get some experience throughout that competition. So for me, it's definitely been a really good platform, and I think it's been crucial this season to just
I completely
heighten the
agree,
mood
mate.
a little bit.
I actually think, the fact we're doing it's really strange, isn't it? Because when we first got into Europe, say 2 years ago, when we got into Europa League, I think most fans would be forgiven for thinking we're probably not going to do that well. You know what I mean? I was looking at the group thinking we might get through it, but if we do, we don't. You know what I mean? I wasn't overconfident. But it's almost like it's expected now. And I appreciate some people will say, well, yeah, but look at the opposition. We should be winning that group. And yeah, they might have a point. But the fact we've gone 6 games and won 6 out of the 6, I mean, which is, by the way, broke a record. It's the first team that's done that in the Europa Conference. It's almost like it's come accustomed to us now. We're getting used to it and traveling around, and we're beating teams, we're beating them comfortably. And you're right, like we've said it before, and it is acting actually as a springboard and keeping the mood up. I mean, I'd actually be quite. It's almost like I can't imagine life without European football now, which is a bit weird. Do
I
you know what I
think
mean?
you're gonna have to get used to it soon, mate. To be honest with you, I mean, we'd love to talk about European competitions, but we're gonna have to talk about the Premier League and the Palace preview,
Yeah.
in which we're not doing not awful, but we're not doing too well in the Premier League. I mean, last time out we faced Manchester United, and
Yeah.
it was a classic Moyes Big Six game, wasn't it? Really.
It was. It's the frustration is that we're setting up again to not lose. That's the attitude we're going into these games. Like we're going in giving these teams too much respect, in my opinion. We're going into the pitch. It's Man United away. If we get a point, great. That shouldn't be our attitude. And I do feel a little bit for Moyes because on another day we'd have won. But it feels like we've said this now throughout the season. We've said it against Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, Liverpool. I mean, how many games now we've said, oh, on another day we'd have won that. If it had gone our way, a bit of luck, we'd have won that game. You can't keep saying that every week. It comes a point where you've got to say to these players, right, you've got to start taking your chances. You can't just keep missing and missing and missing and going, oh, well, I know, right, people will say, well, David De Gea had a good game, and he did have a good game, and fair play. But at the same time, like, I watch some of these sides, like, you look at Arsenal this season. Obviously, Manchester City are notorious for it, and dare I say it, Tottenham as well. That sort of ruthless edge about them, like that unforgiving. If I get a chance, we take it. Whereas West Ham, it's like we're too soft. We've got a bit of a soft centre to us. We're not quite, haven't got that killer instinct, and that's biting us. Like, I mean, how many more? I mean, we had chances to win that game. We had chances to beat Liverpool. We had chances to beat Chelsea. We had chances to win so many games this season, and we're just not taking them. Although I will say, like, it's not all doom and gloom because if you look at the table, really, I know we're 13th and it doesn't lie the table. It's very tight, and I think a couple of wins will be right up there again. So, I want to say again, obviously, we haven't really been up there this season yet, but I think we will be. Obviously, on to Palace now, then, mate. I spoke to X in the week, and I said it was a must win, and he kind of said, well, I think that's a bit too strong to say must win, but I still think that. I actually do think this is a must-win game. Like, I think if we don't get it, I think a draw would be a very bad result. Like, we have to get 3 points. What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, that's your catchphrase on this bloody platform, isn't it? A must-win game. Um, I don't know. I mean, look, Palace are a very hit and miss side. They can play some really good football at times, and then often they sort of fizzle out. I mean, under Vieira, they're a very different animal to what they were under Hodgson. And they got some really exciting players like Eze, Elise, obviously Zaha's a
Yeah.
constant threat. I always say that when we face players who are very direct and have this really strong, low-driven shot, we really struggle, especially Fabianski in net, because I don't think he's very good at getting down to those sort of low areas,
Yeah.
especially outside the box as well. But then you look at their defense and you sort of think that's a defense we should be attacking. I mean, we played them last season. I think we were 3-0 up, and then the last 10 minutes We did that thing we did the previous season where we conceded twice and we thought we were going to concede a third time after being 3-0 up. And obviously we drew to them as well earlier in the season, but they did have Mr. Gallagher on their team. I mean, I think they'll probably dominate the midfield in this one. You know, Doucouré's probably what Souček probably should have been this season. You know, he's an absolute unit and he just moves his way through the midfield. Obviously, having Declan Rice in there is always going to help, but you do worry maybe that physicality is going to come back to bite you. But I mean, realistically, if we have any hope of you know, like you say, getting used to these European ventures, then it probably is a must-win game, to be honest.
Well, that's my phrase there, mate. You've nicked it. No, I think I agree with you, but I will disagree with the midfield. I think that's probably their weakest spot. And the reason I say that is because, like you highlighted, I think you've got Zaha, Elise, and Eze, who are really lethal going forward. They're very good players, but I think it leaves their midfield exposed.
Well, Eze plays in the midfield alongside Doucouré often.
He does, but that's what I'm saying. I think he goes forward. I actually think that we've got enough. I mean, I would prefer to see Downs and Rice in midfield because, you know, before we go into team news, you know, just as a bit of a spoiler, I think that Paqueta is going to be playing, and I'm guessing he'll probably start. To be honest, whether he will or not, I'm not sure, but I think he'll definitely be involved at some stage. So that means that Downs or Souček are going to be dropped. And I'm sorry, I know we've talked about this. I don't want to keep harping on them. I don't want to keep, you know, making the same moaning and complaints every time. But you know, Downs is above Souček. End of. He's proven it now in the Premier League. He's proven it in the Europe. He's a better player. End of. And he needs to be starting. Moyes has got to give up this loyalty to Souček. He's got to stop it now because there's no question marks about it anymore. Like, I mean, I know he was doing well in Europe, and we were saying, well, Premier League's a bit different, but he's proven in the Premier League actually he's very good. I know he's been utilised as a number 10 in Paqueta's absence, but I think he needs to be moving back now alongside Rice. Drop Souček, get Paqueta back in. And I think that midfield will cope with them quite well. The issue we're going to have, like you said, is the front three or the midfield three. They're going to cause us issues, and that's where we're going to have to win the game. That's going to be kind of make or break it, I think, is winning that midfield battle and dealing with those three, keeping them man to man. Just don't let them play, don't let them turn, and don't let them cause attack because they've got the potential to cause us real problems. But I actually, like you said as well, I think the defensive side of Palace is a bit questionable, and I think realistically we should be winning this game, mate. I mean, I've been going into it with relative confidence. I think at home we're proving ourselves this season to be pretty decent. I've got a decent home record, and yeah, I fancy us tomorrow. I really do fancy us. Well, I mean, are you going into it with confidence? Because before we actually went on air, you went, I think your words were, "I'm going to lose this one." Did you mean that about this game?
Well, I mean physically lose, but I was more being jovial. But like, I always, maybe the record doesn't state it, but I always feel like Palace is one of our bogey teams. You know, I know we looked at the head-to-head before the game, and obviously that it doesn't really show that. But I don't know. I always just feel like when we play Palace, it's one of them games where you feel like something could go wrong. You feel like, you know, everything could be set up for you to win and score, but for some reason they always just seem to play decent against us. And you know, obviously I know you probably don't share that, but I don't know. For me, I think I mean, look, we're in good form, and we're, you know, Paqueta's coming back. I think Souček will obviously start because Downs was not rested in midweek. Question marks over whether Aged, Dawson, Kehrer, or Zoom is going to play. I mean, that's a question for the manager. I don't really mind who starts out of those four, to be honest with you. I think probably my option would be maybe, it sounds harsh, but probably Aged and Dawson at the moment, to be honest with you. I mean, Zoom has been incredible for us, but I think Aged is a better ball-playing defender, and Dawson just, you know, you get so much more of a threat off of corners. And I feel like he's just one of those no-nonsense players. And also, I'd much to play Dawson because I don't know how much longer we're going to have him for. And then I think, you know, you've got, you know, Creswell starting right back. I'd personally be going for Ollie Scholes, to be honest with you. He absolutely had a blinder in midweek, and Soufal's still not, a bit questionable in my books. And then I suppose Scamacca, Benrahma, and Bowen. So that is a dangerous team that can easily score some goals. So I do think we're going to edge this one, but I think it'll be a draw for the majority of the game. And I think we'll just about edge it in the last sort of 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'm actually of the opinion that I think we're going to win, and I actually think we'll win comfortably. Actually, I've got a feeling. I mean, I know I don't want to sound arrogant about it, but I just feel that we're on a good up now. I thought we were very, and I hate to use that word unlucky because we've been saying it all bloody season, but we were unlucky against Man United. And to be honest with you, I can't remember the last time we played badly, like really badly, where I watched us and thought, I'm really worried. We've actually been playing well for quite a while now. So I'd like to think that we've got enough to deal with Palace, actually. I'm not sure about the lineup, though. I don't think Aguerd will play. I think that Moyes has made it quite clear he's not going to use him in the Premier League until after the World Cup now. I think he's going to utilise him in the Cup. So I'd be surprised if he's involved at all, which is probably the right thing. If he come out for a long-term injury, you can't imagine he'd want to play. The fact he played Thursday, you can't imagine he'll play. He might be on the bench possibly at most, but I don't think so. But you say it'd be nice to see Dawson back. I mean, I think we've basically got a fit squad. I haven't seen the updates from X. I haven't seen.
I think it's just Cornet, isn't it? Who's confirmed as still being out. I think other than that, you've got most people returning to full fitness. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And I don't know what's going on with Cornet. That's a bit of a question mark over that. Like I don't know. His question is a big question mark over his injury, isn't it? Like he was due to come back, and all of a sudden there's a setback. We don't really know too much about it. So, and apparently there's a lot of talk about him possibly not playing now until after the World Cup. So, which is obviously not long now. It sounds a long way away, but it's not, because we've only got another week of football after this, and then it's the World Cup. So, it might not be a bad thing if we can deal with it. And also, Benrahma's been in pretty decent form-ish. So, you imagine we can probably cope with it all right. Obviously, on to Palace then. I mean, we talked about the front three that can cause the creative three that can cause us issues. Aside from that, I mean, is that really all we've got to be concerned about? Or are you thinking this is going to be a really tough game? Or, I mean, I'm personally feeling quite comfortable going into this. I'm feeling quite confident we're going to get a result, but you don't seem the same. You seem like you're a little bit anxious about it. Is there sort of a way that they play that concerns you?
I think they play really well on the break, and I think they're going to do what most teams do against us, which is allow us the ball, which is something we don't cope very well with. You know, we like to play teams that play a higher line where we can break through. I mean, that's how we used to play. We've now had to adapt to. I mean, that's kind of the reason we brought Scamacca in to, launch the ball up to him, and he can obviously, with his amazing passing, feed the ball off to the wings, and then we just kind of work it down there and see what happens. But it never looks like we have like a real way of breaking through and a real sort of plan, I guess. The only sort of plan you ever see is when Cresswell makes an overlapping run from Benrahma, then Benrahma cuts back, gives it to Cresswell, and he chucks it in the box, and we never score a header. So I think when teams allow us the ball and then camp in their own box, we do really struggle. And then that obviously gives them the opportunity to break. And I think they are really dangerous on the break. I mean, look how they played against Liverpool early in the season when they kept hitting them on the counter. They looked so dangerous. But you can play that way, but if you haven't got the players to orchestrate it, then it's sort of Joe Ward, mate, a fucking right back. I mean, Guy's not been quite as good as he used to be, and then Mitchell's not having an amazing season, in my opinion. So I do think it's a defence that we can definitely break down, and I think the fact that they will probably camp in and allow us the space on the edge of the area means Scamacca has a chance to do what he normally does and shoot from outside the box. So for me, I don't think we need to be worried about Palace. I just think they're gonna be there to frustrate us. They're gonna be there to make it a hard game. They're gonna be doing what they've done all season, which is try and hit us on the counter through Zaha, who's just an absolute blinder of a season. And I think also having those late runs from Eze in the box is going to be really hard for us. And having it would be Souček's job to track him. So is he going to do that? Probably not. So
that's the issue, isn't it? And that's a good point actually when you think of that, because he's got to deal with pace there as well. And that's the other argument, isn't it? I'm not saying that Downs isn't is typically fast, but you just get the impression that I think he'd cope a bit better with that role than Souček would. It's an interesting one, and I'll be disappointed to see Jack Downs dropped. I think it is going to happen, sadly, because I think if Paqueta is fit to start, I think Moyes will utilise him. Because I don't think Downs really works as a number 10. Don't get me wrong, he's done a great job for us and been really impressive, but I don't think it works. He's not a number 10. If anything, I think X mentioned on the podcast that it's like, if you're going to play a number 10, surely Souček actually would have been better because he goes into the box and does things, whereas I don't think that's really naturally Downs' position. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that tomorrow's game is going to be one in the midfield. We've got to deal with them, their playmakers, and we've just got. I think if we nullify them, I think we can win this game quite well. As you say, that's going to be the issue: the counter attack. I think you're right. I think they're going to sit back and let us have the ball and try and frustrate us that way. So on to it, mate. I've got to ask you then predictions. What are you thinking?
2-1 the Hammers, mate. 2-1 the Hammers.
2-1. Do you know what? I'm really tempted to join you on that. I'm really tempted to join that because I think that's what I was going to say anyway. So yeah,
Well,
I'm kind
where's
of
this comfortable win coming then? If it's 2-1, it's not going to be too comfortable, is it?
no. When I say comfortable, I just think that it'll be 2-1 and they might get a consolation or something like that. I don't see them causing us problems all game. I think we're going to be the most dominant side. I just think that the fact that we're coming off a loss in the league to Manchester United, you rarely see us kind of respond with an emphatic win. You imagine it might be a bit tight and tough game. And our confidence, I don't know. At the moment, we just don't seem very confident in front of goal. I know we just won 3-0 away against Bucharest, which was obviously a brilliant performance. But you just feel in the league, we're just lacking that little bit of confidence. You know what I mean? I can't see us being 2-0 up at half time. Do you know what I mean? Which is what I'd love to see. But I just think we're not taking our chances well enough. So yeah, I'm going to join you on that. Actually, I'm going to say 2-1, but I think it'd be a comfortable 2-1. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be a little bit more edgy than that, but at least we're
Yeah,
both going to hammer wins.
Absolutely, mate. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.